Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Law of Cognition, and today in this video we'll be coming up with the distribution of property as per the Hindu Succession Act 1956. So today in this video we would be specifically dealing with those properties where the person had died without making a will. Now, if a person had made a will, in that situation, obviously what the will says that would prevail, and there are separate provisions for that, okay, and that would be dealt by me in a different video. So specifically today in this video we would be dealing up with the provisions that states where the person had died without making a will and how the property would evolve, okay. And in being more specific to that, there would be a situation of male and female both dying without making a will. So today in this video we'll be covering just the provisions of the male dying without making a will, okay. So now moving ahead with that, when a Hindu person dies without making a will, okay, his property will be disputed as per the law mentioned in the Hindu Succession Act, okay. There are certain provisions that are there in the Hindu Succession Act that are specifically for that only. So moving ahead with that, if a person had died without making a will, specifically a male, then in that the distribution would be first goes towards the class 1 heir, okay. There is a term known as class 1 heir, in that there are several groups of people who are laid down in that class. So accordingly, the person would be divided as per the heirs where they are placed. So now let's move who all are placed in class 1 heirs, okay. The first member in the class 1 heir would be widow, then mother, son or daughter of the predeceased son or daughter of a predeceased daughter, widow of a predeceased son and daughter of a predeceased son of a predeceased son, and widow of a predeceased son of a predeceased son. So in this, if we see broadly, what we could say is there would be a widow, that means a person who had died, his wife, basically she would be considered to be a widow, his mother, okay, and if there are certain children who are there of him, or certain predeceased son of his son or something like that, in a way, if we see from the third group, it's the child about whom we are talking about, okay. So these all are the members who are there in the class 1 heirs. So now the question arises how the property would be distributed among them, okay. So in class 1 heirs, basically the properties are divided equally among all of them, okay. So see here, since the 8 lists are there, okay, 8 members are there, 8 lists are there, okay. So in that, if we see, if all the 8 list members are present, then the evolve of the property would be like 1/8 would be given to each one of them, okay. And if there are 7 or 6, then accordingly everyone would be given an equal share out of that, okay. But yeah, this has to be seen only in the case of class 1 heir, okay. It has not to be like taken into consideration in case of all, okay. Just the class 1 heir, this rule would be prevailing, okay. Now what would be the situation? There may be a situation where there is no one present in the class 1 heir, none of them are there, all have died, or there could be any circumstances, okay. So in that case, what would be happen to the property of that particular person? In that case, what would happen? In that case, class 2 heir members would come in the picture, and the class 2 heirs property would evolve, okay. So now who all comes under the class 2 heirs? And before moving up with the class 2 heirs, one thing that I would like to make it very clear to you is mother is included in class 1 heir, but father is not included in class 1 heir, okay. Father is the person who is mentioned in the class 2 heir. So please keep note of that. Father is not there in the class 1 heir. This might be a multiple choice question in any of the exams, okay. So be specific with that. Mother is the person who is there in the class 1 heir and not the father. Father is the first member in the class 2 heirs, okay. And why I am specifically mentioning the point first list of the class 2 heirs, because in class 2 heirs, the evolution of the property is way different than class 1 heir, okay. So now moving up with the list who all are there in the class 2 heirs. The first one is father, then comes son, daughter or son's daughter, brother and sister. Okay, like it could be son's daughter also, it could be son or daughter, or it could be brother and sister, any one of them. The one who is mentioned in one chain would be treated as an equal. Okay, then comes the third one, that is daughter's son, son daughter, daughter's daughter's son daughter. Okay, then comes brother's son daughter and sister's son daughter. Okay, then father's father mother both. Okay, father's widow and brother's widow, father's brother sister, father's mother's father's brother mother, and mother's brother sister. These are the persons who are there in the class 2 heirs. And now how the property would evolve among them, whether all of them would be given an equal share like class 1 heir or how. Okay, so in this case they won't be given an equal share. It would be like the first one would be served first, and if he's not there, then we would be moving ahead with the second one. Okay, so if in case father is there, then the complete property would evolve to father. There would be nothing which would be given to the person who is mentioned in the list 2 and below that. Okay, and if in case father is not there, then the second list, all of them who are present, who are mentioned and who are there live, everyone would be receiving that particular property share. It won't be that the one whose name is written first. Okay, that won't be taken into consideration. The list number would be like 1, 2, 3, 4 has to be taken into consideration, but in the same chain, if you are there, you are in the same line, then that won't be like the one whose name is written first. Okay, everyone would be given equal share. Like for example, if we see, if the father is no longer alive, okay, then the second list would be given a chance, and if out of them 4 of them, 2 are present, 2 are live, okay, then the property would evolve half to one and half to the other one. Okay, so there would be equal share to given to both of them, and simultaneously if there would be 4, then 1/4 property division would be done. Okay, now at and further moving, if there wouldn't be anyone from the second chain, then obviously the third, then not the fourth. In this way the chain goes on. Okay, and there might be a situation where there is no one present from the class 2 heirs even. Okay, then in that case how the property would go, where the property would lie, to whom the property would be given. Okay, these are the several questions that are again there in the mind. So then there comes the term agnates and cognates. If there is no one in the second class heir, then the property would evolve to agnate, and if there is no one in the agnate, then the property would evolve to cognate. Now the term agnate and cognate is something new. So now what is agnate and what is cognate? Okay, agnate, if we see in very simple language, if we try to understand that term, the one who is related to the particular person who had died through a male link. I'm using the term male. Through the male link, if he is attached, that person would be considered to be the agnate of the person. Okay, like for example, son's son, son's daughter. Link should be through a male member. Okay, there has to be a male member's link. And cognate is someone who is not directly related to a male, it is that through a female connection. Okay, so this is what is agnate and cognate. And it's not there that every time there would be just one agnate or one cognate. And see, there are common rules for both agnate and cognate, but one thing that has to be taken into consideration is first agnates come, and if agnate is there, then there is no rule of going, there is no any option, or there is no any thing to go towards the cognates. But if agnates are not there, then you have to switch to cognate. Okay, so the rules are same for both of them, and there might be a situation where there are more than one agnates or cognates present. Okay, then in that case how there would be the division or how the property would be evolved. So for that particular thing, our provision of section 12 of the Hindu Succession Act come into the picture, which states that, or which talks about order of succession among agnates and cognates. Okay, so what it states, let me first read out that. The order of succession among agnates or cognates, as the case may be, shall be determined in accordance with the rules of preference laid down hereunder. That means section 12 lays down 3 rules. Okay, and accordingly there has to be a division in case of agnates and cognates. Now see, I am just briefing you out what the rule 1 says. Rule 1 basically comes up with the concept of, like, if there is a more than one agnate. Okay, then and the situation is that one is of the different chain and the other one is of the different chain. Like one is related to you through the father's relation and one is related to you through the son's relation. Okay, or one is related to you through the brother's relation, like his brother's son, and the other one is your son. There are two different chain in the Hindu joint family chain. If we see, then there are two different chain in this situation. Okay, then in that case, the one who is nearer line, okay, who is in the nearer line would be treated to be would be given first preference than the second one. Okay, like for example, if we see sons, okay, being the descendant in the lineage of a deceased is to be preferred to brother's son. Okay, one is your son's son and the other one is your brother's son's son. In that there are two different chain. Okay, then the one who is more nearer to you, that is your son's chain, that is your own chain, then in that very case the one who is more nearer to you would be given the more preference than the one who is at the remote line. Okay, this is the first rule that is mentioned under the provision section 12. Moving up to the second rule, what it says. Second rule, what it says is there might be a situation where the two are of the same line. Okay, then in that case what would be seen is who is more nearer to you in terms of like relation, in terms of like generation. Okay, like for example, if we see father's brother's son being nearer than father's brother's grandson. Okay, in that case one is your father's brother's son and the other one is father's brother's grandson. Then the son relation would be more nearer in comparison to the relation of grandson. Okay, both are of the same line, same chain, but still there is like generation difference. Okay, I hope I am clear. So this is what rule 2 says. Now rule 3, in case there is no any difference between the two, like one is mother, the other is father. For example, like one is your son's daughter and one is your son's son. Okay, in that case how there would be a distribution? Then in that case it would be like equal share would be given, or the way you want to take it equally, in that way there has to be a division. Okay, if both of them or three of them, how many of them are there? They are of the same line, same chain, everything is similar. The example I just mentioned, son's son or son's daughter, they both are at the same line. There is nothing difference, no any difference are there, no any thing of like age would be taken into consideration, the one who is big, no, nothing is like that. Chain and line would be seen, and since they both are of the same chain, then both would be given an equal preference. There is no any discrimination on the basis of gender. Okay, so that has to be kept in the mind. So yeah, now moving ahead with since the concept of agnates and cognates are done, so now moving ahead with the concept of, in this situation there might be a situation where there is no cognates even. Okay, then in that situation how the property would evolve and where the property would go. Okay, then in that case what would happen? Then all the property of the deceased person will go to the government. Okay. Alright guys, thank you so much, and I'll definitely coming up with the next video. In that I'll be dealing up with the female dying without making a will. So please do like my channel and do subscribe it. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.